I never know what I'm going to do. I love not knowing. I like not knowing because I actually like to be afraid that I'm not going to figure out what to do or that I'm not going to know what to do. And it allows me to follow any path I want. And because it's painting and you can paint over things, there's never any possibility of making a mistake because you can always redo it. You know, this may not stay. This may only be for you guys. And I see art making as a kind of self-making and a way of finding out who we are and where we are and how we're oriented in the universe. So I like not knowing because then I'm going to find something out instead of it being a set product where it has an end goal. I know that it'll end, and I know that if I'm lucky there'll be a painting in there, but I'm not worried about knowing in advance. I don't want to know. The apparent layers of paint in my work has to do with the body and the paint being a stand-in for our bodies and skin, and for aging and for time spent, and also it gives me, it's a kind of permission. It gives me permission to do anything I want to in my work. And like you have these things where there was something else there and I've covered it all over, or like this scarring kind of stuff, this, I think it's scraped back or maybe sanded, and this scrawling in here that then got filled in with paint, and then this sort of bruisey color. Like skin, it has imperfections, or you can see the veins, or you can see a scar or little hairy parts and stuff. So I want the layers to sort of represent that in some way. The things that appear scientific or grid-like or organized are really just an attempt to appear serious and to organize something in a way that's not really logical. Because when I put numbers in those different boxes, I lose track, and sometimes there's two repeated numbers or I don't count correctly. Putting the science in or something that appears to be logical is a way to kind of support that wilder, more intuitive aspect. And then the writing in the paintings, which is one of the other layered aspects. It doesn't matter if people read it. I just happen to like the handwriting, the way it looks, and I like the notational aspect of it. And it's another thing I can add in. Even if they don't read it, they look at each letter and they kind of have to slow down and pay attention and be in the moment. The records, because they're only side one, I never do side two. I feel like you might go around only once, you don't know if you get a second chance. So for me, they're about mortality, but they're also nostalgic because we don't use records anymore. Also, I love the black disc thing. Visually, I like them a lot. But I wanted to do something that had this aspect of mortality to it. And to me, because I only wanted to do side one for the record, that kind of has that. And then this is the guilt-free zone. So the guilt-free zone came about because a friend of mine was diagnosed with melanoma, and another friend of hers said, you should have gone to the doctor sooner. And I thought that was a terrible thing to say to her. So I thought she needed a guilt-free zone where she didn't have to feel guilty, that she was living her life the way she wanted to, and it was the best way for her. But so I made this guilt-free zone kind of in the happy paintings for her, and then I realized I needed a guilt-free zone, and that maybe lots of us needed a guilt-free zone, a place where we could feel like we weren't judged, or that everything was okay, or that we were living our lives in the right way. It's all paint. This is not pencil, this is oil paint, oil paint, oil paint, oil paint, oil paint. I'm very rigid. I want everything in the painting to be only paint. I don't want to collage it. I want it all to be paint, all to be oil paint. It's a kind of job I need to do. Whenever people ask me about the evolution of my work, or how I got from point A to point B, or why the paintings have changed, which I never see. I never see any change in the paintings. I see it as all painted by the same person, and I see the threads that go from one to the other. And I also feel like when people ask me, well, your paintings changed so much, and I go, no, it hasn't changed. I feel like they're accusing me of abandoning some kind of part of me, or, you know, throwing the baby out with the bathwater or something. Magic. When people look at my work, they should bring themselves, and they should pay attention to what their inner voice says and what intuitive leaps they have when they look at an image. Like, what does it remind them of? There's no right answer. When people see paintings, they believe in whatever it is on the canvas. But what they're really seeing is like a really thin film of dirt with a binder in it. And those dirts are colored. But I believe that we understand color and form as a kind of reality, that they're not really abstract. They're based in the way we navigate our world, so that like a blue might make us think of water, or a soft sweater, or any number of things. So even though my works aren't portraits or landscapes or a recognizable place in a traditional way, I believe that they're real places, like places of our mind, of our imagination.